Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the live, unscheduled broadcast recording of Create Your Label. This is the way we do it sometimes. You can never tell what the goings on are because we have to sneak in here on the channel and record our shows, as it were, late at night when our parents aren't home. So welcome, everybody, to Create Your Label. Vic, today is a special broadcast because, we've been getting some mail, and I recognize we needed to break it down.
Right.
So we really need to redefine today, and that's what this show is all about today. Redefining just what is a record label in the year 2011. Just what is a record label and who has a record label. And there's going to be a part 2 segment of this, and what is internet television, what is an internet television channel, and who needs one. That's going to be part 2.
Okay, and when you say in this year 2000, obviously you're saying a record label in the year 2000 is not the same as 2011.
No, 2011.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is if you have a record label and your philosophy is back in 2000, yeah, you need to get on board with what you're about to suggest.
Oh, well, you actually, and what we're suggesting too is that many of the people who would have a label today are people who would not have had one in 2000. Let me give you an example. One of the reasons that we think today that you have a record label is because we define a record label as a company that is in the business of distributing recorded audio content.
Right.
So we left it generic as that, recorded audio content. Now, a bunch of you say, well, I'm not singing anything. But then I remind you, Vic, and this is one of the things we're doing a lot of today, audiobooks, right?
Right.
Audiobooks. And then sometimes it's wonderful, sometimes not so wonderful, but sometimes wonderful to hear the author
Right.
talking about the book or actually reading parts of the book. But you can also pay someone or get someone to do voiceovers for you, to do the audiobook.
Okay.
I bring that up because many of you have blogs or you're promoting, you have new enterprises. You're doing real estate, you're doing gardening, you're doing some kind of consultant service. And you know what? It really doesn't make a difference what your service is. You may actually end up needing both a record label, so we don't call it a record label, but you may need a label, which is going to be distributing audio content, and you may need an internet television channel as one that is distributing video content. And that's why we're changing the definition.
Are you looking at that you just need to have a brand?
There you go, buddy.
All right.
And that's what it consists of. For example, what if you're into making quilts, and that's your new enterprise, and you make quilts? We talked about the fact that you may go about getting known and promoting yourself by shooting a series of videos talking about quilt making.
Okay.
Initially, for some of you, your audio content will just be the audio versions of your videos.
So in short, what you're really saying is the envelope to actually increase your brand awareness, to generate revenue stream and have a supplemental extension is to have footage, whether audio or video or both, but you should not have neither.
Right, because this is going to allow you to tap into the greatest resources. Specifically, it allows you to tap into the number one ways that people are actually getting their multimedia content. iTunes.
Okay.
They are the number one for music.
Okay.
But for lots of other multimedia too. And watch how this changes. So now, your videos, your audio could all be available on iTunes and also on Amazon.com. So these are things that you got to look at. So these are places to increase your exposure, all because you chose to do this. So remember that. Again, the easiest ones for those of you who are not recording artists are your audio books.
Okay.
That talk about the same things and your same services that you're doing. Even if you're not selling it, it's a way to get it promoted.
Can I ask you something real
Sure,
quick?
buddy.
If you say audiobooks, what's the difference in having an audiobook without video? Is there a market value when people say, I do better hearing the audio and not seeing you visually? That's a greater impact, but if you do audio, why not video?
Well, that's actually my opinion, but what happens is, Vic, there's a lot of people who feel differently, okay? And so it allows you the ultimate flexibility. For example, if you don't feel comfortable visually,
Right.
You could do a video that consists just of pictures that change, right?
Right.
While you hear audio.
Why not have somebody who is comfortable in reading what you want them to say so they bring that visual impact, maybe not yourself?
I think that is optimal.
Okay.
I think it's optimal. Well, optimally, if you could do it, then next is be someone else.
Okay.
But I think what we want to encourage you to do is to consider getting started on all versions of these now.
Okay.
Because you can always move up and do better. For example, why not do an audio? Why not sit down and plan a piece right now just describing your enterprise, whether it be your new real estate service that you're doing, the new consultant services you have for weddings or for decorations,
Right.
whatever you're doing right now, whether it be your band. Why don't you try doing a short piece talking about what it is that you do, your band, your act, your song, your book, whatever it is, do a short piece where you talk about and describe what it is you do. And take a look at that. Man, we think that you should shoot video all the time and get used to shooting video all the time and promoting yourself. It's cheap and easy to do. You can do it even today with your phone.
Right.
Get used to doing those videos. Get used to talking about yourself.
Right.
And for those who are not comfortable, well, like we said, you can use the audio version with pictures
Okay.
to produce things. So it gives you some flexibility.
Let me ask you something. I've heard this quite often, and I know this is going to be hitting a different envelope. I heard so many people who are doing, their brand, their websites, their channels, whatever, and they stay away from showing themselves because they believe that there's a prejudice and bias that exists out there, and that people can envision if you're doing audio and not seeing you, they won't encourage that bias. Hence, some things where they say maybe the credibility may not be as great if you see a face talking about pushing or selling the product, because this is all about sales, right? Isn't it somewhat of a sales environment?
Exactly. We believe in today's world, you have to try to be visual and personal, right?
Right.
People want to get to know you. One of the things that the studies are showing is the one thing they don't want to interact is with companies.
Right.
So you have to reach out to them as an individual, reflecting on these services that you're doing.
Gotcha.
And we're going to show you ways to do that.
Okay.
All right. So what we wanted to today was attempt, at least in your mind, redefine what is a record label. Now remember, so we talked about ways and things that you would produce that are not traditional, specifically audio books, but we also took a more general definition of record label as any company that's distributing audio content.
Okay. Now, are there penalties for not using audio and or video? I mean, in your opinion, there's some pluses and minuses, but it seems to me right now that that would be a missing cog in anybody's brand and marketing efforts, not to include either or.
Well, that would not be taking advantage of perhaps what you and I have talked about. We have said it's the greatest opportunity for independence and entrepreneurs that's ever existed.
Right.
The fact that you can go on the internet right now and promote yourself never existed like this.
Right.
Also, the fact that the public is accepting and desiring of short videos about different topics. It never existed. You got to attempt to capitalize on this. We think it's pretty much the way to go. But it's true. It's out there. Short form video, they call it, is the number one way to promote anything in the world right now.
Are you saying if you do short form video, can a person get away with having an impact of having a 1 minute video?
Sure they can.
Okay.
Or maybe even a 30-second, right?
Right.
You've seen it happen.
Right.
What's up?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
All
definitely.
right. Well, this has been Create Your Label. Again, today we talked about redefining what a record label is. And we know that it continues to include those artists out there that want to produce music. Okay. That's why we didn't deal with that today. But all the regular artists that sing and dance and all those things, we know you want to do it, but we wanted to drop into the minds of the other people that they may want to have a label themselves for other reasons. Now, we're going to tell you what. Coming up in part 2, we're going to talk about what is an internet television channel and why and who would want one today. All right?
Sounds good to me, man. Looking forward to it.
All right. Here we go.
Www.